Hello, everybody, and good evening. If you just give us about 1 minute to share, Mark Zuckerberg and I broke up and put me in share jail, so I just need a few seconds to share. Mr. Flynn will be right with you with our formal introductions. Just give us 1 second to share,
Sure.
and we can get right down to business. Let me know when you put it in there. Okay. Okay, let me go back there. Give a few people some time to join. I still don't see it. You sent it. Okay. Okay. All right. You guys, while you're out there, share for me, please. Please share. Because guess what? I can't share. I can't share anymore. We will be with everyone in just a second. One quick second. Yes, there's a lot of groups that need to hear this information that we about to get out today. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Shout out to ATN News Media Group and the greatest producer in the world, Mickey Jordan. While we are getting ready, everyone, please share. Please share this stream. The Wyntis Hall Show, winding down for the year. Got one more interview next week. And then we will start kicking it off fresh in 2024. And let me send it to a few people here. Thank you for being so patient with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold on here. Hold on. Let's get to going. You guys remember, tell a friend to tell another friend that Wyntis Hall is on the air again. So I think we got it. The people 10 days to Christmas. Okay. They'll come on. I got them started. So first of all, I would like to welcome my guest for the evening, Mr. Reggie Flynn. Thank you for our screen in the studio is this way, so I'm looking at you, but you up
Okay.
here. Okay, so
Okay.
I thank you for allowing me to interview you. As I told you over text, and I told my viewers before when you accepted. First of all, I didn't think you was going to accept the interview, but I said because I invited you, I will not be rude because I invited you to my house. Mama say when you invite somebody, you don't be rude to them, but if they show up unannounced, then it's on and popping. But I will not be rude to you. But I will ask. But I told you I will ask the questions that everybody know. And I know
Sure.
you will give me your honest answer. Okay. So the ground rules have been established. And again, thank you for accepting. And just a quick introduction. I want to read a list for you. Okay. Well, first of all, before I read this list, tell the people who you are in your own words.
I'm Reggie Flynn.
You just Reggie Flynn, former pastor of the Falls Avenue Baptist Church here in Flint, Michigan.
Hey.
And here, let's get started. We're just gonna jump right into it. I have I posted on Flint Politics Reboot all the questions. Like I said, hey, because I do it for my people. What do you guys want to know? They gave me a list of questions. I've done this before, and you get interaction from your people. They stay involved in the process. But I got a list for you, Pastor Flynn. Marketplace Apartments, the Flint Cultural Center Academy, the Commons on Grand Traverse, Ashley Capitol Building, even a state park. the Hilton Garden Inn, Genesee Health System, Services for Mental Health, Lear Corporation, 116 weed dispensaries, and now the YMCA. Those were some of the buildings that I could think of off the top of my head that had been built and up and running before this grocery store. So I was reading as I was doing my research, like I always do. The grocery store, $9 million budget. The North Flint Co-op store, located at 5402 Clio Road. When you go to Google it, it says it's temporarily closed. Groundbreaking ceremony was held on August 30th, 2021. And at that time, it said that the store had been in the planning phases for 6 years. The Michigan Strategic Fund Board voted August 23rd, 2022, to increase what they were going to invest from 1.25 million to 1.5 million. Again, planning stages for 6 years at that time in the 2022 article. It was also stated that you can join to be a member of this co-op store for $250 for individuals and $500 for churches. You stated in an interview on M Live that the store would be scheduled to open the second quarter of 2023. You also requested $600,000 from council. And then you said previously, I think it was probably about 3 weeks ago when we scheduled this interview, that you will be returning again to request over $1 million in ARPA funds. Mr. Flynn, the question that everybody wants to know, when is this store going to open?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me first express my appreciation for allowing me to join your show.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate the fact that you indicated that you would be nice to me. I'm really
Mhm.
appreciative of that. Um,
Well, you didn't have me blocked for 4 years, so I'm just I'm trying to
yeah,
do better.
yeah. You're not the only one.
I know you blocked a whole lot of people that night. I know I'm not the only one, but yeah.
Well, let me start with um, let's start with the questions that are inherent within uh, the organizations who have been under construction and have opened since, I don't know. Let's go back as far as the height of the water crisis. And
Okay.
what I want to try to do, and if I miss something, by all means, I know you will jump in and
Mhm.
give me a reminder or share with me what I've missed. But one of the buildings that you did not include in your list is the Capitol Theater as well. And so, and there are other couple of other buildings that are situated downtown that open uh, during the water crisis or after the water crisis, including um, the Early Learning Center that's just right outside of downtown. So let me first say that all of the organizations that you've mentioned, uh, if not all of them, most of them are within what I call the power network, and they are in good graces with the power structure. What I mean by that is there has historically been access to economic development dollars down through the years. North Flint Reinvestment was started by me. I was the founder upon entering as the pastor, senior pastor of Falls Avenue. I came to Falls Avenue in 2008. I organized and founded North Flint Reinvestment as a nonprofit, a community development corporation organized for the purpose of spurring economic development with an emphasis on community development and economic empowerment. and so it has been very difficult to break within the system, so to speak, and access dollars to do the work that I felt was absolutely essential and needed, based upon what I know all of us has seen as the disinvestment of of dollars within North Flint neighborhoods in particular. So all the organizations that you mentioned, most all of them have access and have been a part of the system for many years. Now, I'm not envious or jealous. What I have been is very vocal about the inequity of the allocation of economic development dollars. If you recall, the Capitol Theater, for example, opened uh, at the height of the water crisis.
Mm-hmm.
When they opened, at the same time, the governor decided to close the water pods, if you recall,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all the water pods throughout the city, and particularly in North Flint. Also, during the time of the water crisis, we also saw a significant amount of economic development dollars come to the Flint, right? We have yet to get an accounting of those dollars. We do know that it was over 300 some odd $1 million. We also know that a significant amount of dollars came to the philanthropic community for supposedly specific allocations to address issues affecting children and families. One in particular is food access.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is really important, Wyntis, is to give some perspective, some historic perspective to how we even got involved. And when I say we, I'm referring to North Flint Reinvestment. Um, During the time Mayor Weaver was serving as the mayor, she established what was called an economic recovery task force. Mr. Lawrence Moon, Pastor George Wilkerson, and a few others that I can't recall served on that task force, and food access was one of the areas in which they were serving as on a subcommittee. I don't know if you remember Pastor Sanders, the deceased Pastor Sanders, who at the time was leading an organization that was working toward expanding food access in North Flint. Our organizations were identified by that Economic Recovery Task Force as entities that could possibly manage projects that would expand access to healthy food in North Flint. Well, we began to attend meetings, and we were assured that that there was a need, and so we had to substantiate that, and that was done by way of the Chamber of Commerce financing an exploratory search or exploratory data analysis and to the area.
Mm-hmm.
And what they discovered is that yes, in fact, there was a food desert, and it
Mm-hmm.
was substantiated by the USDA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted to look at our capacity as organizations to lead the efforts. And so they financed hiring a big time firm out of DC to come in and do the research. They pulled together business plans. They did the analysis, and they said, well, okay, yes, there is a USDA designated food desert in North Flint. And so now we need to look at the capacity of these organizations. Well, I don't know what transpired with Pastor Sanders in his group, but what we began to do is begin mobilizing people around this issue, around the challenge of, well, what are we going to do? Because initially, residents approached me about a planning meeting, and we met in Eagles Nest Academy auditorium. Said Kroger's is closed, and soon thereafter, we know down the street about a mile and a half, Myers closed. And they said, well, we need to. The people were saying, well, what we need to do, Dr. Flynn has said, since you have connections to the Chamber of Commerce downtown, we'd like for you to approach them about keeping the store open. And at the time, I believe Jackie Poplar was expressing the desire to approach the chamber and others, and asking them to ask the hierarchy at the chamber, I'm sorry, at the within Kroger's and Myers to reconsider their decision to close the stores. Well, at the time, I said, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the solution to our problem. We need to look at some other alternatives if we're going to achieve food sovereignty, if we're going to have some control of our destiny. Well, you know what that led to? That led to, I can't remember the lady's name, but it led to a conversation about a food cooperative. And I didn't know anything about a food cooperative. Well, that led to me taking about 15 people from the city of Flint, and we went to a national food cooperative network conference. And boy, did we learn something. We learned what other communities were doing that were facing the same challenges that we were facing. That really was the beginning. And so we learned that one of the essential components in establishing a food cooperative is to pool your dollars together, to cooperate economically.
Okay.
And so we saw we saw not only a pattern, but we saw what was an essential principle of food cooperation was that the people at the grassroots level invest dollars themselves. And so we brought that back, we brainstormed, and we began the process of expanding our reach, our effort to try to mobilize residents around this concept of food cooperatives. And we were learning the principles, we were learning board governance, we were learning how to read financial pro formas. We were learning what was essential in terms of community organizing. It was a great learning experience. Now, and I'm trying to fast forward this. This ultimately led to what is now close to over 1,000 member owners. Okay, and as you mentioned, an initial investment from families is $250. For churches, businesses, and organizations is $500. They can get on the financial, what we call a payment plan. Some people pay $5 a month. Some people pay $25 a month. Some people just paid initially their $250. So we maintain a database of member owners. And those member owners do have a voice. Those member owners do have a say in the governance, who's selected. We're going to have coming up, a transitional board is in place now, but we're going to have elections coming up at the end of 2024. And so those who are member owners who desire to serve on the board in that capacity are open to not only applying, but running for office to hold a board of directors seat. And that's one of the principles that really appealed to us about establishing a food cooperative.
Okay.
Democratic structure and voice, and determining the destiny of the store. If you want to get, for example, if the store is profitable, the member owners decide on whether or not they want to receive their dividends, or if they want to reinvest it back in the community or to the store. So going back to, so that's initially how this all began.
Okay.
So let's get to how this store. Excuse me, my daughter is calling me.
No problem. Now, before you start there, let's get back to that question. When is the store opening?
Okay, we plan for the store to open in the first quarter of 2024. Let me get some context to that.
Okay.
Nobody knows how frustrating it is to have, unless you are managing a construction project, what they call delays, construction delays. Nobody knows how frustrating that is. And this is not my first project. Eagles Nest Academy was my first major project in terms of renovations. And I understood about contingency budget. I understood about construction cost overruns. So let me give some context to that, because if anybody's been frustrated about the store not opening, it's been me, because I'm the one under pressure. Okay.
Right.
So what happened, Wyntis, with respect to the delays, the major delays, really what really threw us for a loop was COVID. This project started, remember, as a result of the water crisis. And so we could not access economic development dollars. Trust me, I tried. I went to the city. I went to the philanthropic community. I went to the state, and I want to address also the, please don't let me forget to address the, and I'm making a note to myself, the funding for MEDC, because I want to explain what transpired there.
Okay.
But there, let me share with you what happened. When COVID hit, the cost for equipment, the cost for construction doubled.
But you do realize all of those places that I named was built from the ground up. Marketplace Apartments,
Mhm.
ground up. The new apartments, the Commons on Grand Traverse, ground up. This after COVID.
Yeah, but well, here's the point I want to make with respect to that. Even after COVID, I mean, COVID has had really put us behind. So even if you have a project, and what I do understand is that many projects have different financing sources,
Mhm.
okay, and many projects have different kinds of contractors. Some are good, some are not good. Um, I'm not going to say anything derogatory about our contractor, but let me
Okay.
tell you what transpired. And I don't know if these other projects experience this, but we had major construction cost overruns. We had major equipment. The equipment initially was budgeted for a little over 1 million. You know how much the equipment and procurement cost
How much?
is now?
How much?
Oh, $2.5 million. Two and a half. So can you understand that if you haven't raised those dollars, of course, if you can't get the equipment, you can't afford it, they're not going to order it for you, and they're certainly not going to install it for you. And so we're scurrying around, me primarily, because I'm a grant writer, I'm a fund developer. I've been doing it for many years, scurrying out where can we get the dollars. Went to the philanthropic community, and I was told no
Mm.
initially. It's told no. So I don't know what happens with these other projects. I do know many of them receive yeses from the power structure. I know
Mm.
many of them that you've mentioned. I know many of them do have access to these economic development dollars. Let me share with you what a lot of people don't know, Wyntis.
Please do.
North Flint Reinvestment, um, we had to take on debt in order to to renovate an existing building. We had to take on the debt. And what I mean by that is North Flint Food Market didn't have any financing, any funding, didn't have a track record of development projects, didn't have 3 years of external auditing that they could show funders. North Flint Reinvestment did. So we ended up incubating and subsidizing the market for close to 9 years. So we took on a construction loan, we took on a bridge loan. And by the way, let me share with you the MEDC funding. The
Mm-hmm.
MEDC funding was approved for us, but guess what?
1.5.
We could,
Uh-huh.
but guess what? We haven't received those dollars, and those dollars were the amount of money that was approved. Guess what? Those dollars were given to us or granted to us by the community fund. I want you to be very clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
We had to secure a bridge loan from the community foundation in order to receive the MEDC funding. And so the bridge loan was made on our behalf, and we appreciate the community foundation for doing that. But when the MEDC, when we receive that certificate of occupancy, that money has to be paid back to the
Mm-hmm.
community foundation plus interest. Okay.
Okay.
So these are
Okay.
some of the details that the people don't know about. And let me just share also with you that LIX, for example, is another funding source. LIX granted to us a $450,000 recoverable grant. Okay. Uh, a recoverable grant is not a grant. If anybody knows anything about development, a recoverable grant is a loan. And
Okay.
so what they've done is that they've granted us the recoverable grant. That grant went directly to what's called a new market tax credit transaction. So the dollars come to us and they go right back out the door to the entity, Michigan Community Capital, who extended the new market tax credit to us. Now, let me just share with you very briefly, because a lot of people don't know what a new market tax credit is. New markets tax credits were offered as incentives to private entities or community development financial institutions to spur and spark economic development in areas that experience disinvestment. So what they wanted to do was to encourage private developers to develop in poor communities, supposedly Black communities.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Whew, I can't take no longer. Okay, doctor. Okay, wait a minute. Pastor Pastor
There's a
Mr.
lot.
Flynn. Let me
Sure.
ask you this. So we didn't seen pictures posted of how shiny the floor is in there. We didn't seen the shelves put up. People that had walkthroughs, 27 grand openings, soft openings, all kind of events. Only thing is missing in that store is food. So you mean to tell me you don't have the money to put the food in the store?
No, that's not true. So we haven't had a soft opening yet.
What
What
was the
we've done,
walkthrough?
yeah, we have Arlene, our general manager. She makes herself available for the member owners and the public and media as well to give tours of the store, so people can see that we're actually doing something, that we're actually moving forward. But let me address the issue concerning the food. So we are, or will have, a contractual um, obligation in place, contractual agreement, I should say, with a wholesaler.
Okay.
A wholesaler that Arlene has vetted because she has that experience, not I. And that's why we hired her as a general manager. And so they will be the ones who will stock the stores. Our issue is not with the food. Our issue is what we call in business working capital. And
Okay.
so we didn't receive, and let me go back to the comment concerning the $600,000 that we initially asked for,
Mhm.
a year or so ago.
Mhm.
That was denied, and at the time there was a need. That's when I was scurrying around trying to find dollars to make up the cost overruns on equipment. And so when we were told that we would need to apply like other organizations for the APA funding, time had passed. And so we resubmitted a request to the city of Flint for $350,000, not for equipment, but what we call and what's referred to as essential working capital. You know, when you start up a business, you have to have working capital.
Right.
You have to have dollars for marketing. You have to have dollars for staffing, all the essentials in operating a business. And that's not unusual. So here's the thing. What I've wanted, and I've shared this with everybody who continues to ask, well, why you guys haven't opened up? And I told them that if you really think about this, who would be more excited about this store opening than me, right? I'm tired.
You
I've been
gotta be
raising
tired.
dollars. I've been
Yeah, we
raising
tired
dollars
too.
and facing criticism, even by people who are not member owners, and that's okay because I'm tough. I'm not weak. you know,
Right.
I'm from Bucktown. We know how to take a punch or two, right? so,
Right. So
so,
when
but
you
here,
was talking that,
so here,
I got questions. I got questions. Because the people have sent me a lot of questions, and I want to get to the questions from the people. I know you want
okay.
to
So
talk
you want me to give shorter answers?
short answers. So
Okay.
when you had
So,
the groundbreaking in 2021, it was a big banner behind you, and some of the names was listed was Capital Impact Partners, City of Flint, Community Foundation of Greater Flint, Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, Diplomat Pharmacy, Elga Credit Union. So surely you got some money somewhere, right?
well, what I'm conveying to you, absolutely. What I'm saying to you is, I'm going to try to explain to you the process. It's not like these people say, "Well, here's the money," okay,
Hmm.
and you go out and these dollars, all of those institutions that you just mentioned, those dollars went into a new market tax credit structure deal, okay, and that means it goes there. We have a fiduciary, which is the Uptown Group. They monitor those dollars coming in and coming out. When the construction contractor asks for 500 some $1,000, they draw down those dollars. They receive those dollars to continue construction. During this time frame, we had breaks in construction. We couldn't control that subcontractors. We couldn't control that subcontractors left off the job site. I mean, we had. This is the reality for people who understand development. They understand that these kinds of things happen. Now, I imagine that the organizations that you just mentioned, I'm sure they've had some challenges in construction as we have. Now, I believe that we've had some challenges with respect to the financing of our project. Now, this is just me. This is just what I've seen over the years, and I've been in Flint for 15 years and done development. When I say that if you have a group that does a downtown development, what they essentially have, again, is access to dollars. And when you have access to dollars, you can build. Think about this. Capitol Theater, one entity, $20-25 million, right? If we had those kinds of dollars, we wouldn't have the expense. We wouldn't be under capitalized. We would have the expenses to do it, or the dollars to do exactly what we need to do in order to expedite the construction process. But there were a number of factors that were beyond our control. So it's not like we don't want to open the store. That's foolish. We want to get the store open. We absolutely want to do that. But there are certain circumstances and factors involved in our construction process specifically that's prohibited it. Remember this, and
Lord,
and
we can
again, I'm
tell
trying
you
to get
used to be a Baptist preacher.
remember this because I lose my thought. I'm getting at that age. I have to get it out. We were told the entities that you were mentioning, all of them initially said no.
But
So when
then
the
they
funder
said
tells you
yes.
no, you have to continue to search for funding elsewhere. That prolongs the process. In fact, a couple of them said at that ground opening, we're sorry we took so long.
So you said Uptown is the fiduciary for your money. So they hold the purse strings.
They hold the purse strings with respect to the new market tax credit resources that were embedded within the deal. Yes,
So
ma'am.
technically, it's not a really all black owned store, then, right?
No, that's not. Well, no, technically it is not, because some of our member owners are not black.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Now let me get to some of the questions. It's very important. D.
Okay.
Evelyn Patrick, she said if the state feds are slow on giving millions that Kildee had for you, what's the holdup? Can it be tracked? And can you pressure it for release? Because Flint can't afford to
Abs-
give more money to this store.
well,
Just like 2 minutes on each question, please.
I disagree with that. I disagree with the statement that Flint can't afford to give the store more money. How much has Flint given the store?
I don't know. You tell me. That's why I got you on here.
Well, but you just made a statement that
I
Flint can't
asked the
afford
question.
to.
Asked the question.
Right.
People ask
Well,
the questions.
I'm addressing that because the last thing it's not a basis of fact, so I have to address that.
Okay.
So the question, repeat the question for me.
If the state feds are slow
Okay.
giving him the millions Kildee got for him, where is it held up at? Can it be tracked, pressured for release? Because Flint can't afford it.
Okay. So those are not state funds. The Kildee grant is a federal grant, community projects funding grant. Just yesterday, I got a call from representatives after emails and text messages and phone calls. Those dollars are administered by HUD. And if anybody knows about federal bureaucracy, you know it's so the pressure has been on. I've called every person who I think has power and influence, including Kildee himself, and he can relay this to you, that we have tried to draw down on those dollars. I'm just receiving, after providing all the paperwork, and only a person who applies for grants understands this, that at the federal level, there are tons of reports and documents that they require before you can draw down funds. We've done that. We haven't received $1 yet. The pressure has been applied. We got a call from Senator Stabenow, who put pressure on HUD. Just yesterday, again, we finally got a call from Washington, D.C. saying, where are we? And I gave them an update. And I said, I'm still waiting for a DRGR pin so that I can go in and provide additional reports that they're requiring. so that we can access those funds. And by the way, those funds are specifically designated. You can't use those funds just randomly. I can't use them for project management fees. They can't be used for the repayment of loans. They're specifically designated for use. But those dollars, to answer that question, which is a very good question, and one I appreciate, because it has been very frustrating dealing with the federal government and accessing those dollars, and we haven't been able to access them yet. But I believe that that with relatively soon, perhaps within a few weeks or so, we should be able to access those dollars and be able to utilize them for the store.
Okay. So what happened to Bernard Drew? Because when you left town, you turned the store over to Bernard Drew. Now, Bernard Drew, for our listeners, you guys are in the old Abundant Life building that was owned by Pastor Holly. And Pastor Holly used to work with Bernard Drew and Vanessa Pringle, who now works at the city of Flint. We know Pastor Holly he's gone on vacation for a little while. So you left it to Bernard Drew. So how come the people not calling Bernard Drew? Are you back in charge of the project again? Because you coming to ask for the funds. Like, what happened to Bernard?
Bernard Drew was never left in charge of the project. I don't know where that information came
He
from.
came down to city council and said it. He came down with a whole bunch of people and he presented the council with packets to ask for some money.
Yeah, that's because he stood in my stead. I was on vacation at the time. And I asked him because he's very articulate, very intelligent, and I thought he'd be a good person to. And at the time, he was also serving on the advisory council for the food market.
Okay. And speaking of the council for the food market, so it's like Uptown has Uptown Reinvestment Corporation and then the regular Uptown. So I know you guys got like a co-op, what is it, North End Co-op group that oversees the food market. So do you receive administrative fees and everything out of the money that's been given to you? And if so, how much?
Yeah. So North Flint Reinvestment is the project manager. It is very similar to the Uptown Reinvestment Corporation, which I previously served on the board. They are the nonprofit arm of Uptown Development, which is a private business enterprise. Okay. North Flint, in like manner, North Flint Reinvestment is the project manager of the North Flint food market. But let me share with you in terms of the structure, how that's going to look. Once the store opens, North Flint Reinvestment may or may not continue as its project manager. That's yet to be determined. Mm-hmm. And so to date, and I will share with you as it relates to what we call project management fees, what you say is administrative fees. We have received very minimal over a 9-year period project management fees for what we've done. That's why it's been very difficult. I don't know the exact number, but I would tell you how much did I receive personally. Mm-hmm. I haven't received any administrative fees personally.
Okay.
No.
Okay. None. Who's presently on the board?
President of which
Who's
board?
Presently on the board of directors. The first one for the overseer group of the store. Who's on the board?
Our North Flint Reinvestment Corporation, our board of directors consists of myself as the executive director.
Okay.
We also, Brother Green, Ricky Green, Leona Green, Gary Bias, Dr. Carolyn Davis, and I'm missing one more person. Carolyn Tyler. Those are the board of directors for NFRC.
Okay. Okay. Next question comes from Flint Caskets. When will the owners, the people that invested the money, when will they start to see some dividends? Like, do you send out financial statements? People will always ask that question. When's the last time you sent out some financial statements? And when are people going to start seeing a return on their investment?
When we start selling groceries.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was a good answer. You got to get some food first. So,
but what about the financial statements? That's a very good question. That's an intelligent question. And what I would say to you is that every month, member owners are invited to attend our monthly planning meetings, store planning meetings, every fourth Monday. And you can make a note of this. Well, I know you're recording, but you
Mhm.
can make it because I want you to attend. I
Okay.
want you to attend. Every fourth Monday,
Mhm.
6 p.m., we have our store planning meetings.
Okay.
And the invitation can be sent by way of a text message, by way of an email, and by way of social media. So if you go out to the Northland Food Market website
Mhm.
and Facebook page, you will see a flyer, and it has all of the Zoom information on it. And we welcome you to attend. Every month, we provide detailed financials on the member equity account, and also give an update on where we are in the project. And people have an opportunity to ask questions, raise issues that, if they have issues. But we provide that platform for the dissemination of information.
Okay. So we got to the store now opening. You need more funding. Do you need to be a member to shop at the store? And what perks are the members getting?
Here's the
That comes
question.
from Casey.
Okay. So no, you will not need to be a member owner to shop at the store. The benefit of being a member owner are the various discounts that will be offered, the what we call expanded discount rates for member owners, and also we think what's significant in being a member owner and the advantage is that people have opportunity to give voice to their concerns, be able to vote on particular issues that are important to them as relates to the operations of the store as well. And you typically don't get that. You don't get that when you go to Kroger's or Myers or General Dollar store. You spend your money. And so, and if the store, you don't know how the store is doing financially. And so one of the reasons why we established this food cooperative is because we wanted to have a say in its operations. We wanted to be able to say, well, you know what? We didn't make 5%. We didn't meet our sales projections, but that doesn't
Mhm.
mean we're going to close. And that's what we were told about Kroger's, that they didn't meet certain sales projections and the leadership decided to close the store. Well, for us as food cooperatives, we make the decision on whether or not we're going to close. We make the decision on whether or not, yes, okay, our sales projections were as we projected. We got 8% this. So are we going to vote to decide to disperse those dividends to the member owners? Or are we going to vote to make another decision about where those dollars should be spent? I think that's really key and important.
Okay. So you said you didn't receive any administrative fees. Stephanie Rogers asked, "How much money have you received in salary? Do you have a salary? How much
Right.
have you and your
Yeah.
wife received, and what are your titles and responsibilities?"
Um, I, I am the executive director. I'm
Mhm.
the founder executive director. I do draw a salary. My spouse is the chief financial officer. She does have a salary. Arlene Wilburn is our general manager. She draws a salary. Regina Rebb is our administrative support. She draws income and a salary as well. And prior to us not receiving developer fees, what they call deferred developer fees, we would have had our community engagement person hired. We previously had one. I would have more staff. I'm not going to share with you personally what my salary is, but I will share with you the fact that we are grossly understaffed and certainly underpaid. Now that's
So
neither
that's
here nor there. But
oh,
my point is that we are not receiving funds from the Northland Food Market to do the work that we do, and the work that we do has been quite extensive over the past 9 years.
okay. So who's paying you? Because the store is not open, so we're not generating any revenue from the store. So you are getting your salary based upon what? The money that the people have invested into the store?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, we don't receive any funds personally from the new member equity account. Uh, as you know, We've operated an early learning center. We've operated Eagles Nest Academy.
Uh-huh.
We've managed those entities, and that's essentially our source of revenue. And so we work very hard, Wyntis, and
Oh, I
we're
no doubt
honest.
that you
We are
don't.
honest. We are honest people. And
Okay.
so, well, I mean, I understand. I understand this question.
But you
I
said
get it.
you received a salary. So I'm trying to figure out like it didn't come from Eagles Nest and it didn't come from the church. It didn't come from over here. You said your wife was CFO and you the executive director and you
Yeah,
receive a salary. So I'm just trying to figure out
sure, sure. Yeah, and you want to
where
go?
from.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. And I have no problem sharing that with you, and that's why I answered the question.
Hmm. So you answered the question. You didn't tell me where the money came from though.
I
You tell
just
me.
told you I just told you we operate and maintain Eagles Nest Academy. I'm the founder of that school, and we've operated Eagles Nest Early Learning Center, and so we have various sources of revenue that come
Okay.
into NFRC so that we might continue our work of community development in North Florida.
Okay. So it's all linked together, is what you're saying, right?
What do you mean linked together?
Okay. So you said you receive a salary. All right. But you're not taking the money from the people for your salary because you said you is generated from Eagles Nest Academy and other revenue streams, but you do receive a salary because I'm talking about the grocery store.
And you're right. And we don't receive a salary from the grocery store.
Well, that's what I was
Grocery
saying.
store. Oh, okay. Well, I may have misunderstood you. No, we don't receive a salary from the grocery store. The grocery store is not generating any revenue at this time.
Okay.
None at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. From Miss Rosita Thomas. She said, is the North End store going to open? You told us the first quarter of 2024. And she said, well, where are the investments going? Where are they going now? Like people that are paying you the money, where their money going?
The money is in our member equity account. As I mentioned, every month we provide financials on where those dollars are being spent. And so we have current expenses that we've incurred, from property taxes to water bills, to GM salary. And so there's a cross section of expenses that we have incurred on which that member equity, which is very important. We also pay consultants. We don't have anybody on staff to do our financial performance. And so we pay within the food cooperative network a person who specializes in providing that service to us. We also have a retail planner who works very closely with Arlene and has done so for several years. And quite frankly, consultants cost, pretty good a penny. And so even though at my own consternation of the cost, what I see is essential in paying and compensating them for the expertise that they bring. And then, of course, when you are establishing a business, there are startup costs that we have to pay, and the member equity account has afforded us the opportunity to pay those particular costs. For example, to organize it in and of itself, to organize the Northlink Food Market so that it's a legitimate entity. We had to pay an attorney to go through the bylaws with us. We had to compensate attorneys to make sure that the real estate piece is in place properly. And so those are the expenses that the member equity account pays for.
Okay.
And then we're also going to, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
go ahead.
also
Go
another
ahead.
expense we had to, we pay for the creation and the maintenance of the website. Those are paid with the member equity account expense dollars as well.
Okay. Will there be a fee to shop for non-members?
There will not be a fee to shop for non-members. No, ma'am.
Okay. What is the latest balance? What is the latest balance of the members' equity account?
Um, I can answer that, but I'm tempted because I want people to attend this, just to tell them to tune in to this and attend the store marketing, the store planning meeting.
Well, let's pretend like they don't have Zoom and computers and internet at home. So can you
They got a
tell us
phone.
now?
They got a
No,
phone.
no, no. We're doing an
They got a
interview. These
phone.
people want to hear you talk face to face. So what is it?
They
You don't want to tell
they
us. You don't want to tell us right now.
no, I don't have anything. I don't have anything to hide. Trust me. What I'm saying is, I can share it with you what the balance is. But what I would prefer is that you all would call in or Zoom in to attend the meetings, and you can hear the financial report. That's
Okay.
my preference.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
okay. All I can do is ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, another question we have here, a statement from Flint Caskets again saying that he is a member slash owner, and they have not received a statement in months. No type of financial statement made mailed to them or sent to them, emailed in months.
Yeah, we don't mail the statements, but we
Mhm.
provide scanned copies certified by the banking institution when we are on Zoom doing our store planning meetings. So if the person who says that they are a member, if they would just, because we encourage our member owners to attend the meetings, if they're unable to, they can make contact with Arlene. I can provide her name, and certainly I can provide her number. But we desire for our member owners to attend the store planning meetings so that they can get the information that they desire, particularly as it relates to the finances,
Okay.
especially as it relates to the finances. But
Okay.
if they desire to, if for some reason they are unable, they miss a month and they want to know what the balances are and what the expenses and the payments have been, they can call Arlene at 810-620-1974.
Okay. Thank you. Um, uh, Here's another question. When you were going through that list of board members, the one man that I didn't hear that's been stomping the ground hard, Pastor Thrill Kill, was he put off the board, or did he just resign from the board?
No, he was never a member of Northland Reinvestment Corporation Board.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So why do you need a consultant and a general manager for a store that hasn't opened yet?
So a consultant brings an experienced consultant who has the experience in retail and sales, brings a certain expertise to the store and knowledge to Arlene that she does not have. For example, the we have a consultant that does exclusively financial performance. That's not her area of expertise. Now, when it's time for her to make hiring, I think Arlene's going to hire 30 to 35 people. She's going to get someone permanently, not a consultant, but someone permanently who has the background in finances.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's a really good question. But the consultants have been very helpful to us, and they also speak a certain language that I learned that even as a grant writer, that I don't have. That they are able to articulate the funders that makes
Okay.
sense to them.
Now I got a couple questions for you. I've been asking a lot of questions from the audience members. I got some questions for you. So, Pastor Flynn, Mr. Flynn, because you're not preaching right now, pastoring.
I'm always preaching as pastor is. That's okay. That's all right. Don't worry
Okay,
about
okay, okay, Mr. Flynn,
it.
Mr. Flynn.
You
So,
call me Reggie. That's fine.
all right then, Reggie. So now tell me this: have you been getting roadblocks from the mayor's administration? Because it seems like when things don't open around here, he always has something to do with it. So can you be a little honest with me and tell me what's going on between you and the mayor?
I, there's as far as I know, there's nothing going on with myself and the mayor. I've reached out to the mayor a couple of occasions via text
Mhm.
to inquire about our application, and I just haven't gotten a response. And
Mhm.
so that's all. And then I flew into Flint to take a look on the progress of the store
Mhm.
and meet with Arlene. And I decided to go by City Hall. I was informed that it was in City Council, so I wanted
Mhm.
to inquire about the status of our request, just like any other organizational leader would do. And I did have a brief conversation with his city administrator, Clyde, and
Mhm.
he indicated that he would take my inquiry to the mayor. I just haven't heard anything back.
So
And
you know it's
that,
an issue somewhere, though, right?
pardon me.
If you don't hear from him, you know it's an issue somewhere. Maybe you just don't want to tell us, but that's okay.
No. Honestly, I don't have an issue with the mayor. I don't, and I don't know if he has an issue with me. I just know from a professional standpoint, as a
Mm-hmm,
professional courtesy, with important project is this is,
mm-hmm,
and I think it's. I really think that this is, and you all could disagree with me on this, but I really think that this is the most important project that has been overlooked. And I get it. Again, when you're the leader, people point the finger at you,
absolutely.
and I get it, and I can take it. I can take it. But I do know that people don't know a lot of the facts and the details, and they don't know understand that people play politics with your project.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And
And speaking of taking it, Reggie, how much money has this store collected over these past 9 years?
I would say close to probably close to about 4 million. But let me share with you again, and this is how important it is for people to understand.
Are we
Uh,
talking about from investors and from the people? 4 million?
no, I'm talking about grant funds because in terms of what we've raised as far as member equity, it has been close to $200,000 that has been raised. But what people need to really understand is that, and I'm so glad we've been able to raise that because if we didn't, we wouldn't be able to pay for pre-development costs. We wouldn't be able to hire an architect. People who understand development understand that. And
Okay.
so that's what we've been able to do. We wouldn't have the money. NFRC is tapped out. People can say what they want, but NFRC is tapped. I'm not taking on any additional debt for this project. I'm not going to do it. I've already leveraged our assets in order that we might um, be able to forge ahead. When the funders said no to us, we had to forge ahead. And so we had to take on the construction loan. There was a $600,000 deficit, and that loan, when we received it, it went directly on the day we closed to U.S. Bank and MCC as a part of their new market tax credit deal. And
Okay.
I could answer,
Wait.
I could go further, but go ahead.
Okay, so you stated that you were coming back and you were going to ask for some of the ARPA money. So I know you were here last month. I seen you personally down at the council. I don't know if you seen me. You left a little early, and I know you've driven around the city and you've seen all of these blue tarps. You've seen the food desert. You've seen how messed up the city looks. The city was messed up before you left. Why do you think after 9 years this store hasn't opened? I mean, it's the floors have been shined, the people have walked through. Why? What would even make you think that you got the right to come back and ask for some ARPA money when the residents haven't
Wow.
even received anything?
Wow. Well, here's the thing. Um, I think for us, we're not receiving as nearly as much as I would like for us to receive, and that's not in competition in my mind. When they have these categories, at least this is how I understand it, that there's certain categories that the city established where you can apply for funding. I didn't understand this as one big old pot of funds and every organization, every individual homeowner could pursue them. I understood that there was a pot for access to healthy food. There was a pot for home rehabilitation, economic development, different pots.
Mhm.
And so I have a right just like the land bank has a right. Or I have a right just like the Genesee County Habitat for Humanity has a right to apply for funding. These are the organizations that typically receive funding. And by the way, perhaps are not as under much scrutiny as me. And I'm not going to say it's racial. I'm not going to say. I would just say that's just how we treat one another. Let me just
Okay.
say that. But I feel like we have a right, just like any of the other power organizations, to apply for funding for what we see as a need. And if we didn't need it, I wouldn't apply for it. It has been frustrating. I have seen we if we had the funding, and this is where I think the ball is missed. People think because we get a grant that that grant comes directly to us, and we should be able to meet every one of our needs. But what we don't know is that this deal could not have been done if we did not have the economic development tool of the new market tax credit, which is essentially a 7-year loan that NFRC has to pay back, but you have to pay up initially. So they compile all of these grants. Everybody's saying I'm getting rich. They compile all these grants, and I'm hoping somebody out there understands how this game works, how the new market tax credit deal works. But they take all of they compile it and they close. And the vast majority of these dollars, I'm gonna write a book about this. The vast majority of these dollars, if you're talking about an $8 million project, $4 million toward construction, and the other $3 million going to lawyers, accountants, and consultants. And then the small nonprofit developer who's leading the charge for 9 years, you tell him you can't get developer fees. You can't get project management fees. Why? Well, because in the contract, if there's construction overruns, then what's in your fee structure declines or dissipates or is significantly reduced based upon the construction. So that, what does that mean? That affects my ability to hire someone who has qualifications like you, Wyntis, or some other else person who has the qualifications to help move this project forward. So that's the reality of what we're facing. So I get what you're saying, but I'm also hoping that somebody will understand the complexities of it, because it's not as simple. Now, I had a little old lady tell me this. She said, Pastor Flynn, if you were one of those white developers downtown doing work, you would have had this building open a long time ago. And it really didn't dawn on me until I started seeing the various projects get funded and financed and up and running.
And that's what I'm not understanding, because Uptown is your fiduciary and all of their projects have opened except for yours. But what I did, and I'm going to tell you what I said. I'm going to keep
you
it
do
100.
Know that Uptown is a multi-million-dollar nonprofit CDC. You do know that, right? I previously served on the board.
Oh,
they are they are the wealthiest. They are up, and they have access.
But why they don't give it to you? I mean, not 9 years for a store, Pastor Flynn, to open.
Are you blaming that on me?
Yeah, pretty much so. You
Wow.
the executive director.
Wow.
You got to take the fall for it, baby. I'm just saying. How many members you got so far?
Wow. You member owners?
Mm-hmm.
1,000 member owners.
1,000. Well,
and all of them. And let me share this.
Ahead.
Of the 1,000, not all of them have paid $250.
Oh yeah, I know. I know some people have been paying $25. I seen that.
And many of the people who I talk to, because I make appeals on social media all the time about joining, and I hear excuse after excuse, and all I'm saying is, give us an opportunity before you point fingers and before you become accusatory. Just listen in.
I am, but
listen in. Just sit back and listen, ask critical questions, and see whether or not we're legitimate. I could have quit this thing a long time ago. Trust me, I could have. Flint is so toxic to me that my wife said, you don't deserve. You can become a consultant and do your own thing, because I've been getting calls across the country to do that. But Flint is my home.
Well, right? See, now you asked me. You asked me, did I blame you? And I said, yeah. And you said, why? Yeah. Now let me explain why. 9 years, and this store still hasn't opened. You stated that this was your dream to open this store, but you left. You left town. How can you?
I haven't left.
Where you at now? You're not here in Flint.
I don't have. Let me ask you this: are the downtown developers that do project downtown, are they from Flint?
No, you left the state, like you moved.
No, I'm asking. It doesn't matter, because executive directors and CEOs travel. They don't have to be there every day.
So you traveling right now? You traveling? That's
what I'm saying is that executive directors and
Mhm.
CEOs of companies and organizations,
Mhm.
their CEOs, their leaders are not housed or planted in one place. And I'm saying that I have the flexibility
Mhm.
to do just that because of technology, which allows me to lead an organization even though I'm not physically there.
Mhm.
And so I just disagree with the premise that I have to be a resident in order to make an impact.
Well, not
I just disagree
necessarily
with that.
resident to be an impact. I'm talking about overseeing something. Like, I don't know how you can
Right.
oversee the day-to-day operations and you're not physically here as
Well,
executive director. And also another thing, I got to throw this in here because I said it on social media. I want to keep it 100 with you and also my hall monitors, my viewers. Now, I noticed when supposedly you had received a grant from Mott Foundation. I don't know if it ever came through. I can't even recall what date it was. But I do know after it was said that you got that grant from my foundation, the Cuz and Cuz radio show broke up. You came off of 1420. Now, what made you come off of four? I mean, it was just it seemed a little weird, a little suspicious that Mott got behind the project. You came off the radio show. You no longer was.
no.
I'm just
Let me just, yeah, I understand that there's speculation, right?
saying.
So I didn't come off the radio broadcast because I desired to. There was also the reality. I think you're talking right round when COVID hit, and Cuz and I were trying to, work through it, and talk on the phone, and do all of that. Um, but it had nothing to do with receiving a grant from the CS Mine Foundation. And again, let me share with you, and I don't know if you all know how grants work, Wyntis, but let me tell you, these people have serious safeguards. They don't play when it comes to their money. They make you cross every T and dot every I, and they will interrogate you, and they will do everything. I think they call it due diligence. And so when we receive a grant, it's like you receive it and don't receive it. In other words, what I'm trying to explain is that for this particular transaction, grants were received, they go into account, and then they are transferred immediately into another account for the people, the new market tax credit people. Just look that term up and see all the people that are involved in that structure.
You said
And
new
they
market tax credit?
new market tax credit. It's an economic development to spark economic development because of the disinvestment that many poor, low income, largely Black and Hispanic communities experience. And so we utilized that tool because we couldn't get sufficient amount of funds. We saw dollars coming in from the state. We saw hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we tried to access those dollars. We weren't able to do that. But back to your question concerning the timing in which I no longer was on the show and tying that to see, there's no connection.
Okay.
There's
I'm
no
just
connection.
I'm just asking you. I'm just
That's
listening to your
okay. I'm
answer.
not.
Okay.
I'm not being defensive. I'm answering.
Okay.
I'm trying to answer your questions.
Yeah, you're answering the questions. So one more question I got for you. So you received the money and the money is stored in a bank, I'm assuming. The
It's
$4 million
it,
is in the
it,
bank somewhere.
it, it's transferred to, in this particular instance, it was transferred to U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is the entity that buys the new markets tax credits from Michigan Community Capital, who was awarded the new markets tax credit from the federal government.
And you said you had 7 years to pay back this loan?
Yeah, it's called the compliance period. We have, and during that 7 year compliance period, we have to report on the jobs, the demographics, who's shopping in the store. You got to provide financial documents. This is why we've got to have a very qualified accountant on the team who can track those dollars, because these are dollars. It's serious business, and
Have
so we need
have
someone
you
that
started
knows.
paying on the loan yet?
We actually have, yeah, and
Okay.
that the tragedy in that, and North Flint Reinvestment is paying on that loan, even, and this is why it's frustrating. The delays are frustrating, and I don't think many of you understand. And I'm wanting to get this every week that we meet with our construction contractor and our equipment procurement and installation contractor. I'm at when are we going to get the certificate of occupancy? We know that this is going to. You guys need to work out your differences. You need to work out your challenges with regarding your subcontractors. I don't want to hear that. I need for you all to tell me. And so, they're just challenges on construction projects. So, getting back to your question concerning where those dollars were stored again, or where those dollars go to, those dollars went directly to U.S. Bank, and those dollars are sitting there, and they're drawn down when the contractor submits their payment application on a
Okay.
monthly basis.
And I know you stated earlier in the show that the store is slated to open hopefully in the first quarter of 2024. But if
Yes,
you
I
don't
feel real good
receive,
about
if
that. Mhm.
you feel real good, but
I do.
what happened if you don't receive these additional dollars? What happens then?
Very, very good question. The reality is that, um, see, there are a couple options that we have. One is we can continue waiting. I don't want to do that because the community is anxiously waiting for it, for the store to open. We could continue to pay on the loan and find a different occupant for the store because Northland Food Market doesn't have sufficient capital to operate. Don't want to do that. So, although that is a reasonable it's a reasonable scenario, I don't think it's a likely one. We're going to open. I think the funding that we need to close the financing gap is not a large one, and I'm confident, and I'm operating in faith that the gap will be closed and we will open. I'm excited that the building is 99% complete. Uh, that's significant. We have some significant shortcomings with respect to the architectural renderings. Had to go back, had to hire a different um, engineer for the project, electrical engineer for the project. The electrical engineer and the engineer were original engineer were at odds. There's a whole host of things that happen on the construction project, which causes delay. And I get the emphasis on the 9 years, but I do know it's important to look at all the different factors, particularly the one with the lack of access to resources to close this gap. I mean,
Okay.
people just made decisions. I just didn't think this project was a priority. It was not a priority of the establishment. And I'm disappointed in that. And if it were not so, they wouldn't have said, we apologize for taking so long with your project. And I personally, I just think that's the pattern that I've seen over the years in Flint.
Mhm.
North Flint has not been a priority.
No, it
And
hasn't.
now
It has.
it has not been a priority.
And I'm
And
glad
I've
you
always,
said that because
yeah.
it's walking right into my last question I have for you.
Okay.
So, because I don't want you to come off your vacation for a wasted trip back to Flint. Have you
You a
broke
mess.
bread? You know how I am. Have you broke bread of? Oh, well, I don't want to say broke bread, but have you talked to any of the council people? Like you said, you're coming to ask for some ARPA money, and we know like they're very funny with that money. Do you have you talked to him? Have you said, "Hey, I'm coming to ask for some money. Do you think I might get some?" Or you just gonna show up and think you're gonna get some? Like
No,
we
I'm not going to show about that. That's already been proven that that's not successful. The what I've asked member owners to do is to, instead of me going, because I've been downtown plenty of times. You know that I've gone to
Mhm.
jail going downtown.
Yeah, I know that too.
So, yeah, and so what I've said is that the people have to be the voice, and you have to have the courage, if this is what you really want, to go to your local city council person and say, this is a priority. Where are we with respect to our funding requests?
Well, I don't know if you were aware, but everybody thought that Mr. Drew was over the project when he showed up downtown with a packet. He was asked to present a packet to the council people with the project plans and details. And what they received was a manila envelope with two pictures in there from what I was told, they learned about a popcorn machine that cost $8,000. We're gonna have some good ass popcorn up there.
Mm.
Excuse me, Reggie. But we're gonna have some good popcorn up there, is what I'm hearing. But I just don't understand what's going on. Like the members, they don't. We got a lot of members in the chat who saying we waiting. We haven't seen a return. I don't know if you're gonna get that support from the members. So I'm just wondering, like, why haven't you personally reached out to the council people since you
Yeah.
coming to ask for the money?
Well, it's there. I mean, okay, you. I don't know whether to start with Drew or to start with you focusing
Start
on.
whatever. That's the last question. So I'm gonna let you take
That's
us
what.
on home.
So okay, so but Bernard Drew again in defining Bernard Drew stepped in for me at that time,
Mhm.
and while I was not in town, and did a fabulous job of presenting. And I would argue about the contents of the envelopes. We
Okay.
did provide detailed budget. Um, if I recall, Ivor Worthing brought forth or highlighted that this popcorn machine. I can't even remember how much the to equip the store is quite extensive. What I do know is that we didn't develop that list. That was given to us, and everything that was on that list now, of course, that was some time ago. Arlene has gone through, and we have everything in whether it's a $8,000 popcorn machine or I don't know, but I
Should
do
have
know that
asked
we have
Ashley
quality.
Capital for some money.
We I'm sorry.
You should have asked Ashley Capital for some money.
Well, they got money.
Yeah,
Okay.
write it
Yeah.
down.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ashley Capital. All right, they might give. Okay, all right, I'll do that. I'll
You
do
should
that.
do it.
I raise money. That's my job. And so yeah, the um, so Bernard Drew did not have an official position other than he served on the advisory council of the Northland Food Market, and
Mhm.
also he's a member owner. And again, because of the skill set that he has, I asked him to do it, and he did. Now he may have a role with the food market or even with Northland Reinvestment. We're talking now. He's Pastor Drew is a great guy, and I like his skill set. So that is a possibility going forward. I don't know. We have to continue talking with one another. Right now, we are managing this project very well, in spite of the delays that have occurred along the way, which has not been our fault. And you may or may disagree with that, but it has not been our fault. Lastly, when it comes to me approaching the council, I've done that before, and so I don't anticipate going before them again. What I will do is, because if the member owners ask me to do that, I will do that. And I have no problem doing it. But I think what will go a lot further in this effort is that the member owners speak themselves to the need. And Arlene is there. She's gone before the council before too. So, and she's very capable and very articulate, and knows her stuff. So I'm not divorcing myself, or I'm not ruling that out. What I'm saying is that would need to be expressed to the member owners of their desire for me to do, and I would do that.
Okay. So if they don't come forward, what then?
We'll probably write a letter. Just
We don't
to
do good with letters. You about to set off my
what,
trigger,
what,
and I took my
what,
anxiety medicine before that.
what you want? You want me to come back down there with my bullhorn? Now I've retired that bullhorn. I'm not
Well,
going to
you
use
might
that
need to
bullhorn.
bring it back to get some opera money, because I don't know if they're gonna give you no opera money, because they're not giving out opera money unless you got a 501(c)(3), and then they click. And from what I'm hearing from this
Oh, so
interview,
you're saying the
you're gonna
click,
click.
huh? So you're bringing validity what I'm saying about the networks, the power networks, and
Oh
having
yeah,
access.
absolutely, absolutely. I understand that. I understand that. And so you what to sum it up, you saying that you're facing roadblocks from the powers that be. But it's going like around in my head, because uptown is your fiduciary. They supporting you. And so it's like,
Well,
are they not helping you by design?
oh boy, well you really opening this thing up. Let me tell you, ha, ha, I
And
bet
my
not doing that.
medication wearing off. So yeah.
I'm saying that Uptown, as a fiduciary of the new market tax credit transaction, not they don't have any involvement whatsoever in what we're doing in terms of membership recruitment, in terms of what we're doing with our other grants. It's all if it's related to the new market tax credits, that's what they're involved in. And they've been an advocate. They finance the business plan. They finance the acquisition of the I lost my train of thought. My
They
daughter.
finance something.
They
Uptown
oh, the
finances the
study, the
acquisition.
market study. I'm sorry, they financed the marketing study with the company out of DC. So they've been good in that regard, and I appreciate that. So they're not the enemy. I do think they could have leveraged their power more on our behalf in terms of the other members of the power structure, but that's just my opinion. So we're not at odds with them, Wyntis. We've got a big enough battle to try to get our people to buy into this idea of trusting one another enough that we can get something accomplished in Flint together.
All right. One last, just this my final question. This is it. Look, Mickey say I gotta wrap it up. If the store doesn't open, and this is coming right from the chat. If the store doesn't open, do the members get their money back?
Yes,
Okay. You heard it here on
you heard
ATN
it
News
here.
Media Group. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Well,
Wyntis,
well,
thank you for having me on and being nice.
thank you for coming. I did the best I could. Every I did the best I could. Everybody else, tune in tomorrow to the morning bump. You don't want to miss it. 9 a.m. Thank you, Reggie, and have a great night. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.